everyone. It's really my honor and, of course, pleasure to invite you all to this Hyderabad chapter's webinar, which is extremely relevant and of great importance. We have been seeing the impact of pandemic across the globe. Of course, coming back to our country, it is really in a bad shape. The economy is trying to limb back, sort of. We have seen sectors, almost all the sectors, suffering from huge loss, and there are difficult times. The profit, forget profit, but the companies are struggling to even reach the targets what they have kept. So coming back to the media industry, we have seen discussions going on regarding all the industries, your agriculture, your transportation, FMCG, retail, every aviation, every industry. And the discussion happens coincidentally on news channels and we read it in the newspapers. But how many people we really think about the media industry, which got terribly affected by this pandemic and lockdown particularly? So I think this is one of the very relevant discussions today, which Mr. Philip, our Secretary of Hyderabad chapter, designed. And for this evening, we have got brilliant guests who would throw us some light on this topic. Both are very senior journalists, Sri Nagesh Kumar from the Hindu, and also Sri Suresh Kochatil from Hybis TV. I'm sure it will be a very, very engaging discussion. And I thank and once again welcome our respected panelists, our Chairman Emeritus, Jairam Sir, Vinay Sir, our National President, all the senior members. Mr. Ravindran is there, Frederick is there, all the National Council zonal members, and I mean, whoever I could see on the screen. I'm sorry, otherwise, even if you're not there, I welcome, I'm sure you're going to join. I welcome each and every senior member of PRCI family, the chapter heads, the members, and of course, my Hyderabad chapter members. And the flow would go. Now I will hand it over to Mr. Philip for moderating the entire session. And after the speakers, they shared their experience and insights, Mr. T. Vinay Kumar, he would speak on the new book we have launched and something more on PRCI. I'm sure everyone is going to enjoy that. And also he would tell us how relevant is the book which we have launched and why we should possess one copy. And lastly, Ms. Anija would extend the vote of thanks. She's the vice chair of our Hyderabad chapter. So once again, welcome you all to this evening of great discussion, which I'm very confident it will be. Thank you so much. Over to you, Mr. Philip.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Just a minute. Now I'll just briefly introduce, because it's a Sunday, we'll have this thing only for 1 hour. So we'll just have a very brief description of both the speakers, because if I can go on and on and on, it runs into pages. Just a bird's eye view. First, Mr. Nagesh Garu. He was heading the chief of bureau. He was of the Hindu Hyderabad. Elaborate experience, lots of experience, and now he's into the digital media. He comes for the TV shows also as a speaker in TV shows, various discussions.
Philip, a little louder, please. Louder.
Yeah. Mr. Nagesh, of course, he was the chief of bureau of the Hindu long back. Now he's coming back to the other media of television, where he takes part in very different shows and moderates as well as gives his opinion. So it's a different thing, right from print media to this television media. That was in English. Now he's doing it in Telugu. So years and years of experience he has got. That's a very great this thing. And coming to Mr. Suresh Kochatil, he started this thing in the hospitality industry long back with the Taj Group. Then with Times of India, he was there for around 16 and odd years. Then and various, he trains many IT sector people and all, startups and all. And at present, is the director level in the Hybis TV. So one is print media, one is the digital media. So we have the best of both the worlds. So that's it. So both of you, I will just start questions slowly. Yeah? Just, oh, I'm clear now. Audibility is there. Yeah. The first question I am just posing to Mr. What happens in the press room? What happens exactly behind the seats? See, behind the scenes in around 5 minutes, right from the reporting to the time the newspaper boy delivers to a house. In brief, Mr. Nagesh Garu, kindly explain. Thank you.
Yeah, you want me to say something about the
Yeah.
newsroom.
Yes.
Before saying that, since the subject of the
Yes.
topic of today's discussion is
Yeah.
the pandemic and the challenges that it has thrown up, let me say that in my lifetime there have been two crises that I have seen for the media. One was the emergency, and the second is this pandemic. I mean, just I wanted to highlight the how serious this pandemic has been to the existence of the media itself. So before that, you asked me about that, about how a newsroom functions. The first point in a newsroom is the reporter. The reporter gathers news from a number of sources. The sources can be the beat that he covers, the people whom he meets, the press notes that he receives from the various departments, and from friends like you who brief him about the industry as such. He processes that. He processes all this information and puts this in the form of a report. This report goes to the chief reporter, who vets it for accuracy and for sort of correctness, and see that there are no major untruths in that. From there it goes to the desk. I mean, these are routine things, but where the report is edited by a sub editor, and from there it goes to a goes for composing. Then it comes back and it is put in a page. A page is usually looked after by a chief sub editor, and the chief sub editor clears the page, which again is again the a headline is given by the sub editor, and then finally after it is vetted by the chief sub editor, a news editor clears the page, and that's how the process goes on. And we have various desks. One will be a local desk to cover, to look after city news. Another will be an entertainment desk. Another will be a sort of civic issues. Then nowadays sports is given a lot of importance. Sports desk, then business desk. Likewise, all these are put together. Actually, this whole thing works with clockwork precision. Though it looks quite a routine, it has become quite routine. But bringing out a newspaper requires a much more coordination than is routinely imagined to be. So, and then the last point, the most important point is the vendor. Unless the vendor brings the paper to your house, the paper will not come. In between, I am skipping over the circulation because circulation involves a lot of other things also, like printing. Printing technology in India, has made some quantum leaps. For example, from my own experience in the Hindu, we had a fairly good modern press in where we were functioning from Somajiguda. But about 15 years ago, the management of the Hindu invested a huge lot of money in a ultra modern press in near Uppal, which must be told because the paper, when it comes out from a newspaper mill, it is slightly wet, and once the ink goes over it, so there is a slight smudging, which a naked eye cannot see. You can only see it if you have got a sort of a lens in your hand. Now this newspaper, which comes in the form of rolls, it is passed over a series of very small gas flames like the ones that we have in our house, but it's much smaller. So the paper is dried. So the ink, as it's on paper, there is no question of smudging. It dries up, and then the paper is picked up, and then the sorting of the paper is done automatically. And if you want to send a paper to come to various places, then it is done. Anyway, that is the first part of it, but that is one part of it. The second part, about this pandemic, the newspaper industry has tied itself in, I would say, in some sort of a knots, in the sense that whenever an economic crisis hits the country, it is the newspaper industry that is affected first. And this pandemic is no exception. The reasons are several, but I will confine myself to making only one remark before passing it on to others. The problem with the media as such, I'm not talking about the newspaper industry. What I'm saying is applicable to all other media, that is the television industry, but the digital not the digital media, particularly the newspapers and the television. They have made themselves too heavily dependent upon the advertisement for their survival and not for the subscription. A brief point here, in Pakistan, a paper equivalent to the Hindus, say the Dawn, sells for about 15 rupees. In India, nobody will buy a newspaper if you sell it for 15 rupees. New York Times, or Washington Post, they don't sell for $2, but they have got other revenue models, which is a different story in itself. So whenever the economy crashes, a newspaper crashes. So, but then there is another issue also. The issue of press freedom. Suppose now, if a particular industry or a particular sector or a particular, let us say, for example, I'm not saying that, but example, the Reliance Group does not like you, they can simply switch off your advertisements and then kill you. So that affects press freedom. In fact, it is actually happening in the case of Republic TV. However crazy the channel may be for many people, Rahul Bajaj has decided that Arnab Goswami is really crazy, and he's sort of a stooge of the BJP. So he and a few other industrialists have decided to stop giving ads to the Republic TV. So as a result, if many more industries do it for many more media, then the press freedom will get affected. So subscription is the only way out, which the newspaper industry, the television industry are not able to do so. Thank you. Oh, good. I can't hear you, Philip.
Yeah, now am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible now.
Yeah, now I just switch over to Mr. Suresh. I just come here and there. Mr. Suresh, what has been the role of digital media during this pandemic in general? How it has been going.
Yeah, see, this pandemic has thrown up some very interesting changes in the media.
Mr. Suresh will do it. Sorry, Mr. Suresh will take that.
Okay. Evening, everybody. Having worked in the print industry for almost 17 years, 10 years in the corporate life on the other side of the fence, like Mr. Philip does, and then back into the television field and working there in the digital media. 10 months ago, I remember March 28th was 8 months ago, when the lockdown happened. None of us imagined that the world would change, and it has changed totally. If you ever say that we will go back to the old normal, we will not go back. And let me just bring a few things in before I bring in the digital media aspect. Why digital media? One, the print industry is dying. I'm sure my colleague from Hindu was speaking about the fact that you need to subscribe to a newspaper. Let me be very clear. Um, Newspaper industry is dying. I'm sad about it, but it is true. I mean, you just need to ask yourself whether your children who are in the grown-up age read newspapers. They don't. The next generation doesn't read newspapers. My daughter doesn't do. I'm sure I checked with more than half a dozen colleagues of mine, and they all had the same answer that those morning cup of tea and a newspaper is only a habit that will die with this generation. It will not go to the next generation. Now let's look at the television aspect of it. How when do you watch a television? You watch a television only if you're in front of it. And how many of us have time today to do that? From the time the lockdown happened till date, I mean, I'm talking of 28th of March to 22nd of November today. I haven't taken a single day off except for Sundays. That shows the pressure on the media to deliver news, because we are one industry which cannot sit at home and work from home and deliver news. Visual media has to be shot. Somebody has to shoot it, somebody has to edit it, and somebody has to post it. So what's happened in the last 8 months and even before that, this is all coming, but I think the pandemic made it even faster. That it led to the demise of 2, 3 industries. Of course, the print industry is dying. Today, the circulation is down by more than 70% in many homes. The reason being that people are saying, okay, if I could survive without a newspaper for 4 months, 5 months, why I don't think I really need a newspaper. Second, look at the digital aspect of it. If I get the Deccan Chronicle e-paper at 1:25 in the morning on my phone. Why should I wait till 6:30 in the morning if I'm awake at 1:25 in the morning to read the same newspaper? The paper is there with me, and I can just read the digital newspaper off it. I can crop the articles I want. Before this, if I need to get an article, I remember the early days in Times of India. If we needed to do it, we didn't even have a scanner those days. It was very difficult. You have to take a Xerox copy of it, a photocopy of it, and then some client wants to see it. You have to physically send it to him. Then the emails came in, then the scanners came in and all that. But today, if the e-paper comes to you at 1:25 in the morning, it is very, very obvious that the management of Deccan Chronicle, I'm just taking them as one example. I mean, there must be numerous examples like that they really don't believe that the printed copy is the one that you need to read, because you have an access. And remember, this goes across the world. I remember the days when I was in Bangkok and I used to thirst for news from Hyderabad, because you have to pay for news like Times of India if you're out of India. And if you need news, the local news, you need to subscribe for it. I mean, one has to read the local news. So somebody sitting in the United States, for them, it will be late in the evening when we get it early in the morning. And they will read the news at the same time. They don't need to wait for the e-paper to arrive at 6:30 in the morning when it's actually live on the newspaper page. So digital media, as is what's happening today, and this is a very, very important word to note, it is content on the move. Today, every television channel worth its salt is putting their clips online. Every newspaper worth their salt puts their news on. I remember speaking to Mr. Srinivas Reddy of Telangana today, a couple of months ago when I interviewed him. And he said, Suresh, we have forgotten the fact that we are a newspaper. If the news comes in at 11 in the morning, we don't wait till next day morning for the news to appear in print. We first put it on our web channel, on our website. That is important, because people today are not prepared to wait. Newspaper is about views, not news anymore. Okay, and digital media, content on the move. So if take for example, Arnab Goswami has a 1-hour content on the news or in the night. What does he do? He takes all the commercials out, and 45 minutes of that, he clips it into 3 minutes each. So if Ananda Ranganathan is speaking for 3 minutes, he puts that as a separate clip on the Republic Twitter, on Republic Facebook, and everywhere else. And he gets far better visibility than his television channel would. Because it's like if you're not in front of the TV, you miss a program. But here, you can see it posterity. It is there forever. Even when I go to news debates in Telugu channels or even some occasional English channel here in Hyderabad, I ask the people for my clip only. I don't want everybody clip to come in, because then people don't have the patience to watch it. Nobody has the time to. Remember, we all say that. Tell us what you want to say. Tell us quickly. Finish it in 3 minutes. That is what it is all about. Today, the world has come down to 3 minutes. And it's even come down to 2 minutes now. People don't have time. People don't have the problem with many of the viewers today. And today morning, I was on a very long call with media experts from Mumbai on a different subject altogether. And they were telling me the same thing. They said today advertisers don't look at TRP rating, but TRP itself is clouded in controversy. The government has now taken over the TRP part of it. but more importantly, the relevance of the audience. Can my audience buy a Honda City car or an SUV? Can my audience buy a 72-inch television set? It is not numbers that matter today. It is the quality of those numbers that matter. And that is what it's all coming down to. So today, if I say that I got lakhs of TRP ratings, the question is who is watching those TRP? Obviously, we need to know that first. So if it is, I'm not decrying anybody here, but if it is a gentleman who's retired, obviously the income, we all are going to retire one day, and the income would be rather less there. Or if it's a homemaker, she only has an influence value on the husband saying, I need this. But she cannot directly go and buy it unless she has her own source of income. So this is very important when you ask. That is why today's audience, which is in the range of 18 to 35 years, I would call that as a young. No measure that Rahul Gandhi at 50 still calls himself young. But nevertheless, so 18 to 35 is what I look at. And you say 18 to 35 audience, what is their preference? How do they read news? Do they go to InShots and read news? Do they read news in digital media? They definitely don't read news on the normal media. They don't watch television. They watch OTT platforms. So I will take up that subject in detail later. But I think the generation next, as we call it, in my opening remarks, I don't want to go beyond a point. So we will come back to those questions. And as Mr. Philip rightly asked, the future is digital. And digital itself is going to change as we go along. Because the bandwidth that we have today, thanks to Jio and others, means that we can watch an entire movie today, sitting at wherever we are. We don't even need access to, a wired landline. And that is what the most important thing is, that let us be very, very clear. In the US and other countries, the print industry is already dead. New York Times today gets 2/3 of its revenue from digital subscription. They pay for it. People pay for it. Even Times of India has now made it pay. In India, you need to pay for the content. Paying for the content is a habit that Indians will need to develop, because every persons are struggling today. People are struggling to produce content. And if you don't value that content and you want it free, I'm sorry, somebody's salary has to be paid. Somebody's rents have to be paid. And that's what digital media today is succeeding. It is succeeding in taking the message to the last mile. And I think that closes my opening remarks.
Yeah, thanks so much for this overview. It's so nice, And viewers, they can put in their questions to the chat box also. We'll cover it in the later stage. Mr. Nagesh, one question for you. What is the future of the print industry, especially newspapers? It's a big question, but, according to your, crystal gazing, what could be the future of the print industry or newspapers, taking everything into account? Jacob, unmute. Please unmute.
No. It is problem with the speaker.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Clear.
Yeah. Sorry. This is not the first time that, the death knell has been sounded for a particular section of the media. That also depends from country to country and from sections of the population to sections of the population. For example, let me say that the radio, we finished the radio in India for a good number of decades. Immediately after independence, there was a I&B minister called B.V. Keskar. He was in the Nehru cabinet. He said that the Hindi songs were too vulgar, and he used the word erotic to be played on a radio. It is classical music that should be played. So he said, how can a flamingo dance like Mud Mud Ke Na Dekh in 420 be part of the Indian culture? So he said, you ban it. Then the Radio Ceylon, as it was called then, it took over, and rest is history. You had this Bina Ka Geet Mala to which the whole nation was hooked. So it took a long time for us. But it did not happen in the rest of the world. In Germany, particularly, and in other Western countries, radio continues to be the main source of information, because you have got radio in your car. So if you want to be update with the latest information, you needed a radio. So now, see, the newspaper is going through a very bad patch for the last couple of years. But it is not the case in India. Please remember that is not the case in India. In the United States, the circulation of New York Times, which was say about 8 to 9 lakhs a decade ago, is now fallen to 5 lakhs now. But and it's a subscription for the digital platform is about 5 million. So it makes its money through the digital platform. But we all know that the world's largest English newspaper is the Times of India, which is published in India. So, and if you look at I happened to attend a meeting of what is that, for the Newspaper Society Association of the World, which was held in Hyderabad a decade ago. So, the man from, what is that, Jainik Jagran, their circulation manager, presented a paper. And when he said that the circulation of that Hindi newspaper was 3 million, the foreign delegates jumped out of the chair. They thought he was bluffing. They said, can you repeat it? Yeah, he said it is 30 lakhs and in your language it is called 3 million. So now we are going through a bad patch due to some misconceptions about whether the pandemic can be transferred, the virus can be transferred through a newspaper. That is of course one reason. But English newspapers have their own value for several sections, not merely the retired. How do you appear for a competitive examination, which is not held in regional languages, except Hindi? Hindi is, of course, is a regional language. Without really reading a newspaper like the Hindu, which gives a lot of interpretative news, which gives a lot of opinions, which are essential for you. And every father says that you must read the Hindu if you want to improve your general knowledge. I mean, it is not just those days are gone, when you said you needed a cup of, you need to hear the Hindu with a cup of coffee. Yes, see, there are two kinds of readers. One who just flips through the news. He is done and dusted with the news, say from 7:30 to 8, while he is brushing his teeth or having a cup of coffee. But there are people who need the news for carrying out their business. There are various kinds of business analysis and other kinds of analysis where you have to read the business newspaper page of a newspaper. Larger question, Mr. Philip, here is how does the digital media, with its low budget, virtually no staff, generate the content? You must be following this controversy with Google. All the newspapers have said that Google cannot have free access to what is published in, say, Times of India, the Hindu, Indian Express, or whatever. So now the Google is rejigging its entire business model to pay to the newspapers news that is curated by the newspaper itself and then sent to Google, which will be posted on its platform. See, none of the digital platforms have got their wherewithal to gather news and publish it on the web platforms. Even New York Times cannot do it, because for the simple reason that except for New York Times, again, except is an exception. Very few newspapers in the world have found out a revenue model to monetize the news. That is the whole problem here. Thank you.
Yeah. That's it. No, it's a very between the devil and deep sea side of a problem.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I want to take on where Mr. Nagesh has left so that we have a debate that actually runs through. Mr. Philip, of course, you can pose the question. I think, Mr. Nagesh, there's a difference between social media and digital media. I think we're getting it mixed up here.
No.
I'll give you Manorama News in Kerala.
Yeah.
Their digital section has 200 employees. 200 employees.
Mm.
Their job is to convert all their content into digital media, not social media, into digital news. Okay, it can be a clip of television, it can be a newspaper scanned copy, it can be a headline that is scanned and rest of the text in a HTML format. Google is an aggregator. Let's get this clear. Google is an aggregator. Google is not a news provider. Even in Australia, where Google has an issue, and Europe, where Google has an issue, they said we will pay the provider the news, which is what even I said at the start. Nobody produces news free. But today what is happening is, let us be very clear about it. Even an election in GHMC today is being held with a ballot paper, and none of the newspapers ask the question, if the newspaper virus is transmittable through a newspaper, why are we using a ballot paper? Okay, that's a different context altogether. But in a digital media, I mean, having worked a decade in this field right now, long before even the pandemic struck, I can tell you one thing is, I'm not talking of people reading a newspaper, I'm worried about today's generation. Today's generation doesn't read a newspaper. You might say Hindu. I mean, I remember when the old days when there UPSC exam or an IAS exam, you need to read the Hindu. Today, everything is available on this humble mobile phone. I don't need to do. I just need to search and I get what I want. I don't need to go through reams of newspaper to arrive at a final content that I need to read. A competition success review, if you remember those days, we used to read that. It was a big thing. But today, what has happened is that we have moved away from that traditional media. Let us accept it. There are some industries which will die. The mobile phone killed the camera industry, digital camera industry. It killed the calculator. It killed the watch. So many industries died when the mobile phone came. And it is progressing further. It has killed the scanner industry now because it's got scanners also built. So each generation will come in when it will start killing certain newspapers. I'm not talking of financials, but if you look at the turnover of Times of India, which is close to 8,000 crores today, the number two is Hindu, which is somewhere around 650 to 700 crores right now. I don't have the final figures because Hindu never publishes the audited figures. But look at the difference. It is 1/10 of the leader, market leader. A market leader with that kind of muscle can venture into television, still suffer loss, but pick up content from television and put it into its digital platform. That's exactly what it's doing. So you have the likes of Navika Kumar and Rahul Shivshankar, who are made to look like superstars, who produce content for the digital media. And they marry both this. They marry the print and they marry the television content to create digital content. And if Google picks up that content and puts it on an aggregator platform, well, they need to really pay for it. I'm all for it, actually. Sorry, Mr. Philip, can I ask you a question now?
Yeah. That's it. The next question also for you. Will OTT platforms keep up the same growth as is seen during this pandemic?
It will. It will. In fact, it not just grow. OTT platforms have changed the way. If you remember, Mr. Philip and others in the discussion, we had this channels like Tata Sky, which we all have at home, which said we're going to have premium movies. I mean, I'm going to have a preview of the movie. I'm going to have a release, which is, you paid 30 rupees extra and you can watch this movie on this channel, which you have. Today, my house, I have a Geo Fiber, which I took a year ago. It has two boxes. One is the internet box, and other is a set-top box. Today, they're giving Netflix free. Netflix free, which just means I have to otherwise pay 1,400 rupees or to get a Netflix subscription for a year. They're giving Amazon Prime free. Of course, Mr. Mukesh Ambani won't give free everything all through the life, but somewhere along the way, he'll bring in a subscription model. But look at the OTT platform. Today, my language, Malayalam, has a huge audience watching it across, even on Telugu. My Telugu friends watch more Malayalam movies than me. Because one, it gives the subtitles. Second, there is an access to it on the OTT platforms. A small movie producer who couldn't afford a screen to screen, he can't go to a Prasad's or a Inox or any of those theaters because you have to pay a huge premium to get a screening there in the prime time. That today he just goes to the OTT platform and he says, "Boss, I've got this movie with me. It's a 1 hour movie. It's a 1.5 hour movie, and how much will you pay for it?" So they look through it and then they say, "Fine, we will pay you on a subscription model. That is number of people who watch it. You will get money based on that. Plus, we'll give an upfront cover fee for that." The guy recovers his cost. And as the movie keeps happening, as we said, the digital platforms stay there forever. The people keep watching and watching and watching and watching, and they get the movies too. So OTT platforms per se is going to grow big time. We're already seeing that. We just had one or two before. Now we have Z5, we have Netflix, we have Prime, we have everything, and they are adding on and on and on more OTT platforms. I think OTT platforms are the way forward. Even in news content, we are going to see OTT platform because there are going to be certain exclusive interviews, for example. Prime Minister Modi being interviewed by Arnab Goswami. Why should he put it on the normal channel and not make money out of it? He will say, "I'm going to put it on the Amazon Prime show and I will make more money out of it. I'll monetize it." That's exactly what is going to happen today. In OTT platforms is the future for the entertainment industry. Today, even shows are on the OTT platforms, and many of you must be having daughters and sons who are of 21, 22 years old, and ask them what do they watch, and they will tell you what they watch, and they don't watch it on TV. They watch it on the laptop or on the iPad or any other such instrument in the privacy of their room, and that is a very, very worrying factor for the television industry. We talked about the demise of newspaper industry, which is happening. But it is also happening to the television industry where the audience is getting more fragmented and fragmented.
Oh, don't know what all we should see in the future. So Nagesh ji, one
Yeah.
question to you. What sort of adjustments are being made by the newspaper industry? Normally they do operate in a certain way, but after this pandemic, each set of people, like from the reporter to the newsroom, what are the adjustments they need to make? Small things because of this.
Very little, very little.
Okay.
In fact, as Mr. Kochetil pointed out, the newspapers have been very slow off the block. In the paper that I worked for 2.5 decades before, they were talking about monetizing news for a decade and a half, which they didn't. Uh, and Mr. Suresh has given the example of Malayalam Manorama. But I can only give the example of Hindu with some degree of authority. The net desks are hardly being strengthened. I mean, they are as they are before, as they were before that. But one important feature of the is that every newspaper is putting up a paywall uh, reading its news uh, either online and for digital newspapers. I'll tell you an example. When the Hindu started its digital newspaper, let me certify this was about 15 years ago, I think, maybe 10 years ago. The newspaper was fantastic, one of the best newspapers in the world. I'm not talking about the content. I'm talking about the layout, the looks, the ease of sort of moving from a newspaper to one news item to another. And the digital newspapers was given free of cost. You won't believe it, in the first 10 days, the subscriber base was 1 million. So the Hindus decided that you must monetize this. And they calculated the cost of the digital newspaper in dollars. So they put it as something like $10. And you translate it into rupees. So those times it was 50 rupees. So it came to 500 rupees a month. From 1 million, the subscription base fell to 1,000. From 1 million to 1,000. And the whole thing, the whole idea flopped. So that is why I said that they have not discovered a model to monetize it. Now what's happening is several of these newspapers serve also as a reference base, as a research base for whatever you do, for whatever I write. I have to go through Google and then search for what was written, say, 20 years ago. But now I must have written thousands of articles, and maybe more. I no access to any of these articles because they have decided to monetize it. So I don't know whether it's a good idea or not, because I move away from that newspaper to other newspapers which have not yet monetized their archives, their library. So these newspapers in India have not yet come across a model. But let me also tell you, the digital platform, I'm not getting confused between the social media and this thing. In fact, I don't see social media. I don't know much about, let me confess, I don't know much about social media. I'm talking about net editions of newspapers and the digital editions of newspapers, which are, which are not, just several newspapers I know and for which I even write are not easily accessible on the net. So these are the things that the newspapers ought to have done 10 years ago. And it is not, a newspaper is not no longer just a product selling news. Now, again, coming back to New York Times, because it is a role model in several aspects. Again, I'm not being judgmental, but I'm talking about its news. New York Times also makes a lot of money through its apps, and it sells other products also. But whether the other newspapers are ready to do so for survival is a big question mark. But I stand by my contention that the digital that the web editions have absolutely no way to generate their own content. In fact, the contents of the television networks is also so pathetic because it's incomplete.
the news there in any of the television channels in India is incomplete, in the sense that, I watch for, say, a channel, say CNN, IBN or whatever, CNN News 18 for 24 hours. Still, I would have to read the newspaper to know what's happening in, say, in Pakistan, which is of interest to me, or in America, or in my neighboring state. I will not get what's happening in Andhra or Tamil Nadu. Whereas my newspaper will have a page about Tamil Nadu, my page about Andhra. See, this is the whole thing, another issue on which the news media has failed is, you should lead the subscriber to read only one media. I cannot read 5 newspapers a day to read what I want. That is where the newspapers, including television channels, have failed. So, which means I have to pay, if a newspaper costs me 5 rupees, Hindu costs about 12 rupees on Sundays, I end up buying a lot of newspapers, which is a lot of waste of time, costs me a lot. That applies to the television channels also. Digital platforms have to depend. See, the mother is the newspaper or the television channel, and the website, web news is only the son or the daughter. That is the thing.
Yeah. It's, going round and round the subject, it's Mr. Suresh, one question to you. How was your role changed personally during this pandemic as a person, in your digital media before and after, in various spheres? As personally, how do you look at it?
Well, as I told you, from March 28th to November 22nd, I haven't taken a single day leave. Not even one day. Even on my festival days of Onam and Vishu, I was in the office post lunch, of course. See, the way the digital media has changed is very clear. Once the content is generated by somebody, I can be anywhere to give my voiceover on the phone, pass it on to my editor. My editor edits it, sends me the test link on YouTube with a private mode. I look it up. If it's all okay, then I tell him, take it public. Within a few seconds, he takes it public. Now, what has happened is that today, Mr. Modi said, move from work from home to work from anywhere. That's a major change that happened in the last 1 to 2 months, where the legal laws today allow you to work from anywhere, especially in the BPO industry. Now, what's happening with the digital media is that I can recruit anybody anywhere today. I don't need a person to be sitting in Hyderabad. For example, there's some wonderful talent sitting in, say, Vijayawada. I don't need to bring that person to Hyderabad, pay a salary in which the person cannot even survive sometimes because of high rentals and all he has to pay. So he or she can sit where they are and give me content. And that is most important. Today, the original content is the most challenging thing. For example, on the PTI subscription, we pay 35,000 rupees every month. Now, the question is, am I able to monetize all that content? No, because the same news appears in every other news channel and every other newspaper. To take the most of the newspapers today, be it Hindu or Times of India, 80% content comes from wire services. Like it can be a Bloomberg, it can be a PTI, UNI, AFP, anything for that matter. So digital, my life as such, if you ask me, how did it change in the digital thing? I can tell you one thing is that I am reading a lot more right now because when I sit in the metro, for example, if I'm not driving a car, I'm taking a metro one day. Between Parade Ground and Jubilee Hills, I can read about 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 news stories. And I, for example, subscribe to the business newspapers online, especially I subscribe to Business Standard, Economic Times, and all, because I'm a business channel. I read a lot of business stuff right from my days in Times of India when I was with the Economic Times. The question is, today one has to stay updated. If you're a chief executive of an organization, or even if you're heading a PR unit like you are, you need to stay updated because your boss must just call up and say tomorrow, Philip, there was this news item in so-and-so newspaper and where they talked about a change in the tax structure of that. Obviously, you can't say, I don't know. The maximum you can say, I'll check and come back to you, but that actually cuts a sorry figure. Yeah. So you need to stay updated. That is a challenge today. I tell youngsters, I've been teaching from 16 years as a guest lecturer in MBA colleges in the Twin Cities and outside also. And I tell that to everybody whom I go, that, if you don't read, you're dead. The problem the youngsters tell me today is, fine, sir, I don't need to read a physical newspaper. I'm fine with a digital newspaper. I remember the early days of Economic Times in Hyderabad. Even today, many colleges, business colleges, subscribe to the Economic Times or Business Standard or Financial Express. They get it at a huge discount. Hundreds of copies are dumped at the college gates every day morning with the hope that every youngster who comes to the college will pick up one copy. They're actually paying for it in the fees. But they don't. Because when I speak to youngsters, they're showing me the mobile phone and saying everything is here. I don't need to read. Whether they're reading it or not, it's a different question. So my life has changed in a way that, in delivering content. And here is where I have a debate with Mr. Nagesh on this point that, today he says newspaper is the mother of it all and that provides content. Actually, it is working the reverse way also. Today, my guy sitting in Kurnool or even in Ramagundam for that matter, he's with the mobile phone. He's a journalist today. He can just send me the clip and the text of what happened there. And within a few minutes, I'll have that news running up and going. That's exactly what is happening in most channels today. More than 50 to 60% of the content today are coming from people with just the humble mobile phone. And the technology is changing today that, you don't need a big OB van anymore. You don't need those vans. They are only fancy items. Today, your 3G kit comes in a backpack. You go with that. You can cover any news anywhere. So digital media, my life has changed in the way my content is delivered. And that actually makes me a 24/7 person because I can't say that I didn't see anything after 1 o'clock in the night or early in the morning. No, nobody accepts that excuse anymore.
Oh, fantastic. Mr. Nagesh, one question to you.
Yeah.
Budget cut by corporates have shrunk the income of newspapers because corporates don't spend. What's your take on this? How do you look at it?
No, definitely, this pandemic has shrunk the economy as such. The economy has been hit by something like 18 lakh crores, and the government's spend on advertisements has also not increased. So now what's happening is as a result, newspapers, television, they have sacked people. Any newspaper you name, for example, let's take the example of the Times of India group, which is the biggest group in India. They have sacked people. The Hindu has wound up its edition in Bombay, leading to retrenchment. Take the example of Mail today. It has stopped its digital edition. You take any Indian Express, you take, and regional papers, they have done it silently because nobody talks about it nationally. In fact, the newspaper industry is going through a crisis. And at this point of time, the economy is also going through a crisis. And unfortunately, the most of the newspapers, rather all the newspapers, are heavily dependent upon government for two things. One is concessions from the government. All newspaper managements perpetually keep on pressing the government for customs duty reduction on newsprint. Then they want, they are unwilling to, pay the wages as recommended by the Majita Wage Board of 2011. This wage board is equivalent to a Supreme Court judgment, but most of the newspapers try to avoid the payment of these wages. So, and now all newspapers are also have given a representation saying that the DAVP budget should be, the DAVP rate should be increased, and the government of India should increase its spend on advertising, which of course people like Kejriwal are doing. Kejriwal is spending a lot of money on advertisements for this pollution. But the fact remains, more than the corporates, it is the consumer advertisement that is coming in during this pandemic. If you pick up any newspapers, you find the paper full of Bajaj Electronics or Chrome or other things. Of course, these do matter, but the corporate advertisement as such has really dried off. And then if we have this this system of pick and choose, rather than leaving it to the advertisement executives or their PR professionals, then there is trouble for the media.
Yeah, got it, sir.
In fact, what's happening is that also on the front of, sorry, Josh, Philip, just for a minute, I thought I'll make it more conversational. The idea is also that, where does one advertise? For example, we saw that RTA document from the Telangana government day before yesterday, where they have sent 320 crores in 5 years. 320 crores on advertising in 5 years. And that's a huge amount of money. And then I looked through the channels which got those advertisements, and I looked through the outdoor agencies which got. I saw the channel with the least amount of TRPs got the maximum amount of advertising. I'm not getting into the politics of it. When Mr. Nagesh spoke about advertising, he first missed DAVP thing. Newspaper owners also curry for political ads. Still, the Supreme Court put a ban on that and said, you can't put the chief minister's picture and all that. But that is being violated in different other ways. As a guy who worked in the newspaper industry, I can tell you that the DAVP ads, the tender ads, rates are so low that, a newspaper costs today anything between 24 to 36 rupees, depending on which newspaper you're talking about. And you have to sell it at maximum of 5 rupees. Beyond that, nobody will buy that newspaper. So basically, the advertising is cross-subsidizing the newspaper production cost. And that is what the advantage of digital is, my friends on this show, is that the digital edition doesn't cost any money except for the salaries of those employees whom we are employing, because there's no physical stuff happening. At the maximum, it's the hosting cost, it's a server cost, and that's it. But in a newspaper, it is a newsprint. I mean, we talked about import of news. We have NEPA print in India, but newspapers shy away from using it. They feel it's of inferior quality. But that's a problem. Today, your raw material cost is so high. Your ink cost have gone up. Your production cost have gone up. Everything has gone up. But there has been no commensurate increase in advertising. And if you're dependent only on advertising to survive, I think that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, fantastic. Mr. Suresh, one last question to you. We keep hearing the word, new normal, new normal. It's almost daily some new normal. So,
Yes.
according to you, what is the new normal in the media? For the media, if you tell, what's the new normal?
Well, I'll just make a comparison on an apple-to-apple basis between before the pandemic and after the pandemic. Usually you have, we had BC and then we have AD eras when we talk about the world as such. Now we have before Corona and after Corona. So we have BC and we have an AC. Now, before Corona, you took a lot of things for granted. You said we can never work from home. I know a company in Hyderabad which does payroll for the US companies, which is a US company itself. It does payroll for the US government sitting in Hyderabad. They refuse to say that they can never allow an employee to work from home. They said no chance, because you're handling very, very sensitive data of US servicemen's payroll stationed in Afghanistan or Iraq, and these people know where they are because the salary gets credited there. They said, no, we are not going to allow that. But they were forced to change. Today, so much so that their employees are moved on to the hometowns and they're working from there remotely. That is a major change in the media also. Today, what is happening in the new normal, which you're speaking of, is all that was not there before the pandemic. Before the pandemic, people said we cannot survive without a newspaper. Now they said, oh, we can survive without a newspaper. Before pandemic, they said, oh, we can't order everything online. When we buy a shoe or a shirt online, we have to pick and choose and smell it, only then we can buy it. Now they're doing it. There's no choice. We see more and more online ordering happening. We're seeing more and more digital media being consumed. We're seeing OTT platforms being increased. I spoke about it earlier. So what is the new normal? The new normal is whatever was not there before, plus something more that is happening down the line. And I think that is going to stay. It is not going to go away. You lift a complete lockdown, things are not going to go back to the old self. They are going to change, and we have to accept it. There's no point in trying to resist a change, because this is what the Industrial Revolution taught us, that, when the Industrial Revolution came, it changed the entire landscape of way manufacturing was done. I think the same thing happening on the consumer side when we come to the new normal, as we call it now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Nagesh, one last word from you. What is the way forward? Simple three words. The way forward.
The way forward is the vaccine. Once we get, the new normal will be, it is not as if the media is going to die. I'll tell you why. Media is essential for human survival. It may appear to you like exaggeration. I'll tell you a small story. It is a sort of a primer in mass communication. Suppose people of one village were attacking people from another village. Say this was in the prehistoric times, and planning to take away their food, their women, their meat and all that. So they have put up a man on top of a hill or a tree to see how many people were coming to attack. What were they armed with? Stones, sticks, or what? So the man on top of this tree or the hillock, if he gave wrong communication, the entire village would be run over and it would be lost. So, mass communication, that is credible mass communication, is important. Newspapers and other people will have to invest in this thing. Now, the digital media has got a bright future. But, the digital media is not investing enough. Most of the platforms that you go to, like the Wire, the Quint, the Scroll.in, etc., at the end of every newspaper the story, I find it very pathetic because I have worked with many of them. Some of them were my bosses. Find it very sad to see at the end of it. We have run out of money for this month, and we need subscription. We need money from you. Please subscribe. I mean, that is not the model. The way forward is, you need money to run a newspaper. The newspaper or any media cannot run on charity. That must be very clear.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, Mr. Jacob, any questions? Can you read out a few questions, 2 or 3 questions, Mr. Jacob?
Yes, we have a few questions. One is from Mr. Ravindran. Video and live streaming has seen a boom in popularity. Do you think the internet traffic is now getting diverted to this medium? What's the future going to be according to you?
This is the question.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Now, YouTube, if you know YouTube, how YouTube works, YouTube has a change of policy every 6 months. When the pandemic started, YouTube said that we will give money and preference to people who do live streaming, because I said people are not getting to studios. People are somewhere outside and they need live streaming happening. So to a large extent, till say September ending, YouTube gave a lot of positive and even money to channels, small channels like ours, who depend on YouTube revenue, 4 to 5 lakhs a month, coming from live streaming. Just last month, they suddenly said we are stopping we're not stopping. They said we will not encourage live streaming, which was, when you look up a YouTube, when you're searching, it's like Google. When you're searching for the videos that you want to see, you will see only what YouTube wants you to see, because they get paid. For example, if I had to promote a video of a client of mine, I tell him legally you have to pay 4 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 1 lakh, 2 lakh, and you'll get these many views. So what YouTube does is it pushes up the ranking of the videos and it goes right on to top. Something like Google does. That's a bread and butter. We can't run away from it. But if you ask me, is streaming going to be the new model? I just give you an example. I was just looking up Republic's live videos on on the app and YouTube. And on the YouTube, for example, each of the videos have got nothing less than 2 to 3 lakh views. Arnab Goswami's release video has got 11 lakh views. This is what I was saying. When when others spoke and all asked the question about, well, newspapers will survive, my question is very simple. This Nagesh also needs to possibly look at that. This generation, the coming generation, is not reading newspaper. That is what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about the present generation, whether they read it or don't read it or whatever it is. The problem is the next generation, the generation after that, will not touch newspapers. Let's be very clear. This is the last generation that is reading newspapers. So when you talk of live streaming, yes, but YouTube as a channel changes its policies now and then. Companies, if they have to invest in their own servers, it's very, very expensive. They need a huge bandwidth. Of course, India has that kind of bandwidth today. We are able to pipe 6 GB of data right down to the village eKYC center that we have in remote corners of the country today, thanks to the investment we made in the last 5 years. But that is not the point. The point is live streaming is important. A person like you and me can start a channel tomorrow. You need not be Arnab Goswami. You can start your own channel with your own mobile phone and a streaming facility. You are in business. That is what the most important thing is. So yes, sir, it is possible. It is moving big time towards that. And we're going to see more and more changes happening. But India needs to have its own YouTube. Like India needs to have its own Twitter. India needs to have its own Facebook. Our youngsters, our startups are not doing that. That is what we need.
Yeah. Jacob, any more?
Yeah, we have one more question.
Yeah.
That is from RJV Philip. How do you combat fake news in both print and digital media?
Nagesh, can you take it?
Yeah. Now we have got fact-checking desks everywhere, isn't it? You see, CNN has a correspondent who comes every day, who says what is fake news and what is not fake news. I mean, this expression has become fashionable now about fake news and fact checking. These are all new expressions. I mean, that is what I have been doing all my life. Because the newspaper, as I spoke earlier, a newspaper or any form of media is all about credibility. So, I mean, there is, you know, if fake news is to be really banned, then channels in the USA like Fox News ought to close. But Fox Fox News is the #1 channel in the United States. We can't help it. Yes, there is absolutely no doubt that we need a stronger mechanism to stop fake news. But I'll tell you an interesting example. The other day the Supreme Court. Just give me a second. The Supreme Court sort of pulled up the central government for not doing enough to stop the propagation of fake news against the Muslim organizations. What was that? That Jamaat. In Delhi, that newspapers gave a wrong news that those people had spread the coronavirus. Ultimately, the Supreme Court said that was all false news. You should take action about this thing. The central government, for a change, came to the rescue of the newspaper. They said, no, the newspapers were all truth and all that. Central government, which conveniently blames the newspaper for fake news, in this case was defending the newspapers because it was politically and perhaps communally convenient to it.
Just to update
Suresh.
Mr. Nagesh,
Okay.
update Mr. Nagesh, that case has got rescinded by the Supreme Court. Those remarks were withdrawn by the Supreme Court, Chief Justice Bobde, and that case is still now gone back to the drawing board. But more importantly, day before yesterday, the Supreme Court pulled up major news channels and newspapers, including the Kerala Union of Working Journalists, for filing a fake affidavit in the Supreme Court regarding the Kappan journalist, Rashid Kappan's case. The Supreme Court clearly so angry that the Chief Justice flung the file at Kapil Sibal and told him to get lost. And Kapil Sibal apologized because they said this gentleman was a journalist, which he was not. He was a fake journalist. But I'm telling you, many reputed newspapers in our country and channels carried that news. So this fake news problem is not going to go away. We all love gossip. Okay, during the old riots in Hyderabad, when it used to happen, when before NTR was there, people used to say, "Arey, 10 log mare Usmania ke bahar, Usmania hospital ke bahar." When you ask them where, they'll say inside the mortuary. People inside the mortuary naturally dead. So that is how rumors in Hyderabad, they have a saying "Cheel udi, bhais udi." If an eagle can fly, even buffaloes can fly. So that is what fake news is all about.
So one more last question.
Yeah.
It's from Michael Frederick. Digital media also has its disadvantages, cause in the race to reach or be the first to post on the social media. The process of verification becomes nearly impossible, while that is not the case with the print media. Your comments on this?
Well, I think it's a kind of, it goes both ways. It cuts both ways. If you look at print media is also not the most honest thing in the world today. We saw that during the Rafale crisis, when several newspapers carried fake news, and finally the Supreme Court itself had to pull up and say what was done was correct. Okay. Now the problem is, as I say, by the time you tie your shoelaces, a lie goes around the world 10 times, and that truth can never come forward. And that is a problem with us. We all love fake news. We all love to hear gossip. We all do love to know what Bollywood is doing and not what a guy sitting in a good place doing some good work. No, we don't do that. The problem with digital media's reach is it's immense, sir. I just want to correct that. The digital media reaches a huge amount of population today. For example, I'll tell you, when my office was being renovated, or rather we were moving into a new office, the carpenters were working there from the UP and Bihar and all these places. Every time they would give them a break for lunch or even a tea break, they would not even take the tea. They would first go to the mobile phone and check things out on the mobile. And to a large extent, I went and asked them, boss, you guys supposed to go and have your lunch. He said, khana baad mein khayenge, sir. Pehle khabar padegi. So that's what it is. It is not a sophisticated guy wearing a suit and a tie who is watching a digital media. The entire village consumption, you go to any village today, any village, any bus stop in any village, I can bet 8 out of 10 people are on the mobile phone checking it. And the most of the news doesn't come from digital media, mind you, it is from WhatsApp. That is the most dangerous thing, because if you talk of fake news and other things, digital delivery today is done more through WhatsApp. You have the videos circulating, and I can tell you this GHMC elections, I must have got more than something like 1,000 videos by now in different formats on WhatsApp. And that's what is the most important thing. How do you deliver the message? On digital media, yes, the costs don't go up because it's a fixed cost. The investment in people, as was rightly described as Mr. Nagesh, that is what needs to be done. And major channels, I know because I have a lot of friends working in the media, they have made huge investments in digital media in the last, say, 3 to 4 months. They've realized that is the future. Because I'm sorry, but the next generation, I appeal to them to read newspapers, but they're not going to read newspapers. And that is a sad fact.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Noted, sir. So now, small thing, Dr. Vinay Kumar will be speaking on a book launch. Something. Just over to you, sir. Mike.
Biggest premier organization with decade after Pan India. We are coming out with a lot of new programs. One among that, the book we have recently launched. It is Communication Perspective. The name of the book is Communication Perspective. We have a lot of very good experienced professionals in our fold. So we wanted to share their experiences with the new generation and also to the students of journalism and PR in various colleges and universities. So we wanted to bring out a series of books. First book we have brought out, our own experts, they have written in that, case studies are given in that. So it is a new initiative of PRCI, which we are going to continue. And the second most important thing we are doing is we are coming out with short-term courses. In fact, tomorrow our first course is being inaugurated.
And here,
So, will you please come little close to the mic?
It is the short-term course is the topic is the art of writing for media. It is a 6-day course, and we are covering every important aspect of writing for media, writing for TV, writing for newspapers, writing for radio. Everything will be covered on in this course. It is a 6-day program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. starting from tomorrow. We have also created an expert pool committee of professionals in our fold to send them to various universities and colleges, whoever require them, to take classes on PR, communication, journalism, etc. This is another initiative of PRCI. So PRCI, under the able leadership of our chief mentor, our MB Jairam, we are coming out with a lot of new initiatives. I would also like to mention about our few leaders today who are participating today in the webinar. Dr. T.S. Lada, Bangalore chapter chairman, is there. Dr. Alok Jatrakar, our joint secretary, is there. And Sumit Potra, our designated new Chennai chapter chairman, is also here today with us. Apart from Geeta Shankar, Frederick, and Sahuji, our senior vice president, and all others. If I forgot anyone, please excuse me. This is a very good webinar today we had. Both the speakers were exceptional, excellent. Thank you, Hyderabad chapter, for organizing such a relevant topic, webinar on a relevant topic. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Anindita, and all the members of Hyderabad chapter. On behalf of National Executive, I am grateful to you for this. Thank you.
Yeah, before the vote of thanks, Jairamji, the last few words from you.
Thank you so much. I'm a listener. I'm not going to speak now. Whatever we wanted to say, Mr. Vinay Kumar, our national president, he has already informed to you. All I need is the support from all the chapters and all our office bearers. We let us work as a team to promote ourselves in the national level, and let us show others that we are equal to everyone and we can do wonders in the country. We need all your cooperation. We can make many more wonders, not only the 2-3 things which Mr. Vinay Kumar was mentioning, but we have some more weapons in our the thing. We will definitely make a big noise in the country, and everyone will know about PRCI and our activities. Either it may be social justice or professional front, or anything will be there everywhere. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now over to Anija for the vote of thanks.
Good evening, all of you. This is Anija. I am Communications Officer at National Academy of Agricultural Research Management, Hyderabad, and Vice Chairperson of PRCI Hyderabad Chapter. And today's topic, pandemic impact on media industry and challenges. Really, we have wonderful conversation and session with the two stalwarts, Sri Suresh ji and also Sri Nagesh ji. And it is really difficult to find out now what is the conclude act, but because both the speakers are strong in their own points, in their own way, in their own perspective, and presenting on their own aspect. Financially, Dr. Sri Nagesh ji pointed out the way forward is along with the vaccine, media is the way forward, and also he also stressed on the fact that the credibility of the mass communication, which is a way to go for all of the communicators. And Sri Suresh ji, really wonderful to have you in the conversation and as a discussion because you said married print and media, and the way ahead is digital platforms. And it's really incredible to see you 24/7 for the past 7 months or so. It's really wonderful with the kind of energy that you are going ahead with the digital platform in your own way. That is, thank you so much. New normal would be sure become the normalcy with the new landscape, as you rightly pointed out. Thank you so much, sir. We are really indebted to you and Sri Nagesh ji for sparing the time and being here and making this discussion more vibrant, and with your exceptional inputs and insights throughout the conversation. And we are really grateful, and we place on record our sincere thanks to both of you, sir. Thank you so much.
So thank you all, and Suresh ji and Nagesh ji, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having both of you. Thank you so much, sir.
And Dr. Vinay Kumar ji, this is a wonderful occasion where we have launched our new book. That is real hard work, outcome of the PRCI, all the chapters, and the great team behind this publication. Thank you so much, sir, for inaugurating. And you are the key inspire man behind all of us, all the executive committees of various chapters. Thank you so much for your presence and your time. And now, Sri Jairam ji, Chairman Emeritus, you're always been the motivator for Hyderabad chapter, especially because you give us freedom and nice strength to move forward with the various topics and various aspects, and be it the publicity committee or printing committee or whatever committee where we are in, you are the motivator. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, one and all, sir.
And we place on record our sincere thanks to Director South, National Executive, Mr. Frederick Michael, and Senior Vice President South, Mr. Ravindran ji. Thank you for being the key source of strength for all of us here at PRCI Hyderabad chapter. And Ms. Anandita ji, Chairperson Hyderabad chapter, she needs a special mention because she keeps on motivating the younger generation to come forward and take up the new steps to take the chapter forward. thank you, Anandita ji. And today, last but not the least, the program coordinators, Sri Philip ji and Jacob Raj ji, really have done a wonderful job with a really nice topic today, because you have beautifully framed questions to bring out the best in both the best of both the speakers today. So once again, thank you both, Philip ji and Jacob Raj ji. And Noel Robinson need a special mention because he is the man behind this entire logistics and the technical assistance, whatever is needed for the chapters, all the activities, not only for this webinar, but also the other webinars, 4-5 webinars, what we have done during this pandemic. As you correctly pointed out, Suresh ji, because henceforth, whenever we communicate with the masses or within the organizations, we are sure to say BC and AC, because this is a must what will happen, and we are there for it to move along with the change. And special mention about the co-vice chairperson, Sri Shakil ji, for his inputs for the creative, what he has developed here for this particular webinar. And my sincere thanks to all the executive committee members of PRCI Hyderabad chapter, and the entire team who are visible and non-visible also. My thanks are due to them. And with this, I once again thank one and all. If I forget anyone, please excuse me. And again, we'll meet ahead in next webinar for next month. And thank you. Thanks one and all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all, sir. Thank you very much, Nagesh ji and Suresh ji.
Thank you. Good to see you, Nagesh ji and Suresh. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Jacob, thanks.
I'm ending the meeting, sir.
Yeah.
So
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.